Rebecca here from Daily Wonder. I'm here to talk to you today as part of our parent education series on the topic of beeswax modeling, which sounds kind of funny, and a lot of us as adults are not familiar with beeswax modeling. But I'll talk a little bit about the product itself, and then I'll describe how you could use beeswax modeling in your morning lesson to serve your children. So the product itself, usually at Daily Wonder, we recommend a specific product called Stockmar Beeswax Modeling. I'll show you, beeswax, modeling beeswax. I'll show you what the package looks like. And it comes in these strips, and of course, they're so precious that you might cut something like this into 2, 3, 4 pieces and use it over time. And once it's used, you save it in your container, and you can reuse it and reuse it and reuse it. In a pinch, if you're a dairy eating family, you can use the beeswax that is the packaging of a Baby Bell cheese, and you save it in a little bag like this, and you can use that. It's a bit stickier, but it does have a beeswax quality. There are other modeling materials, of course, like clay and plasticine and Play-Doh, but the properties are a little bit different with beeswax. It comes as a solid, cool product that the child is required to warm in their hands, and it is only when it reaches a certain level of warmth that it can be molded into the shape, and then it returns to its solid form and becomes something that can be manipulated. Whereas with clay, it remains a cool product, and if it dries out, it produces something that can be ruined quite easily. Plasticine and Play-Doh, again, they maintain their quality, which is this pliable, soft product. So beeswax has this beautiful quality of requiring the will forces to be activated, and the warmth of the hands to create its pliability and uses for your morning lesson. So you might use modeling beeswax. You might have a piece about this size. I've been holding this in my hand for a while. And this piece started from what I showed you in this package, and my guess is that this is a third of that strip. And always we recommend that you start from the whole. You start with a ball of wax. And you have the child just hold it in their hand like so. And the purpose of holding it in the hand is to warm it. And only at a certain point will it become pliable and moldable. And if the hands are too cold, what we notice for children is that they'll stick it in their armpit. And this is just a great way to use beeswax and to warm it up, is to stick it in the armpit. And I can say that I've known many children who always have a piece of beeswax in their armpit. You never know where you're going to need to model something. So once you have it at a certain temperature, you can start to shape it. And what we tell children is that their hands are their tools. So they can roll it in their palms. They can use their pincher, their thumb and finger to push and pull different pieces out of the circle of beeswax to create the specific shape that they like. But we ask children to avoid using tables and tools and things and rolling it on the table, because it loses the warmth of the beeswax, and it doesn't activate the same neurons and nerve the same parts of the nervous system when we're using tools. It really activates a lot in the brain when we're using this part of our hand and the tips of our fingers. So you'll ask your child to make a specific shape, or you'll give them the freedom and flexibility to choose their own object that they're going to model. And we would use this tool. Jen and I would use this many, many, many times in our classrooms in the past. When we're telling a story, we might have children who struggle to sit still and listen to a story. If you give them a piece of wax and let them free flow with the wax, it somehow allows them to focus on their fingers, and they're able to stay more still. So that's one tool for those children who need a bit more to do while they're listening to a story. Another way to use the beeswax modeling is to have read the story that you might tell in a morning beforehand, and know that in the story there is a bird And to assign your children before you start the story, I would like you to use this piece of beeswax to model the red cardinal of the story. And then while you're telling the story, your children are modeling and shaping and molding the red cardinal. Another way to use beeswax is the day after you've told a story, when you're asking your child to remember the story that you told and the characters that were in the story. Instead of asking them to tell you with words, you could ask them to model their favorite character out of beeswax. And yet another way to use the beeswax as a tool for your morning lesson is, we all know that one of the biggest struggles of homeschooling is when you have multiple children. So it can be a wonderful way to have the child that you're not working with stay busy and focused on an activity if they have been given a little piece of beeswax, so that they can model a specific character or a character of their choosing. And another way that we've used it in the past is to create, when we're creating a seasonal table or a festival table or display, we can model the characters that need to be there on that table. So there's lots of different ways to use it. And while your children are working with the beeswax, they are working on their will forces, that is similar to perseverance. They're working on the dexterity of their fingers and their palms of their hand. They're activating all kinds of pathways in their brain that have to do with building pictures and seeing in 3 dimensions. And they're also, they're going to end up with something artistic that represents something in their imagination. The way that they see the world comes out in their beeswax. And some children are able to do incredibly small details to their beeswax, and other children it takes, they're just starting, so they are so proud of their beginnings, and they get better and better and better over time. So that is our offering today, is this idea of the beeswax. And my hands are cold, but you can see I've got a little beak coming here, and I'm about to pull from my singular piece, I'm about to pull the wings out of here, and I might use a pencil afterwards to poke 2 little eyes. Sometimes it's okay to come in when you have experienced children and put in a tiny bit of detail. I've had this piece here while I've been talking with you. I've had this piece in my armpit. No, it's not gross. And look how nice and squishy that is. Right before your eyes, I can make a crow. There's his beak coming down. And so in my imagination, I'm thinking, okay, what is the shape of the crow or the raven? I know he has a pretty big beak to head ratio. I know he has a rounded body. I know he has a tail that is flat. And I know that he keeps his wings close to his body when he's hopping around in my driveway or on the grass. And when he's flying, he has beautiful, wide, black wings. And here today, for you, my crow is just having a little sit-down contemplation. And because I've used beeswax today, this little guy will dry and harden and stay in this shape. And I can put him on my display table, or I can have a special place for past stories that my children have represented in beeswax. Thank you for listening. I hope this serves you well, and we will look forward to seeing your pictures that you send us of your beeswax creations. Thanks for coming. Bye.